Damn it. I have managed to lose my lighter. Been at it for literally a second. Okay, hold on. God damn it. I hate when it gets so muddy like it's been. Not much I can do about it, though. Ugh. Just rainy and gross and shitty. Mm. Everything I eat gives me indigestion. No matter how I try to make it different. Excuse me. I hate to keep burping like that, but fuck. Hell of a lot better than throwing up. God damn it. So clumsy tonight. Mm. You guys hear that? You guys hear the frogs? All the stuff? Oh. Make sure you hit that like button as you're coming in. It really does help. The reset. I think I could definitely use the reset. Can anybody else hear the hum of electricity when an appliance is switched on at your house? Cold. Shit's cold out here, dude. Not cold, but it's a little chilly out here, honestly. Just this side of chilly, if nothing else. You know, my weather app said that the sky is clear, but I can like look up and just kind of see that it's not. Like, there's no way it is. Anyway, what do you guys want to talk about? What will tonight's conversation be? Where are we going to go? Where are you crazy folk going to take me tonight? Did I switch to all messages? There we go. Remember to hit that like button as you come into the stream. It really does help. Every single time you hit that like button is another chance for the stream to be recommended in more people's algorithms, which is another chance for the stream to get even more popular and more interesting by virtue of more people being added to the chat. So please, please, please clap. I think sometimes doing these is just a way to encourage myself, maybe, to be a little more present in the moment. Because like right now, this is something I could do with you guys not even here, with you guys not even in the equation. I could sit here and listen to the frogs, smoke a J, have a candle lit. But having the stream gives me the opportunity to have a conversation while I do it, so why wouldn't I take that chance? Bro, I think you might be exaggerating just a little bit. There are a lot of crazy things in this world, and if I'm the wildest thing you've seen all day, you've had a pretty fucking chill day. And if I'm the fattest American you've seen all day, then you must live in a pretty physically fit area. I also feel like a lot of my weight, you know, what's the word for it? I don't slim down necessarily when I stand up, but my weight shifts in a way that I think is like deceiving, you know? I think I have to really be sitting for you to get the full context, the full breadth. What's up, Jareth? And see, if a tweaker shouting at you from a street corner was the craziest thing that happened to you today, that's still a pretty boring day, you know? I mean, that is still a pretty boring day. If you consider all of the different directions that a day can go, and you consider all the different things that can happen to a person in the course of a day, being yelled at by a tweaker is honestly a pretty mundane one, right? What is the brand name of what's rolled up in the paper? I think this is a flying horse or flying monkey, something like that. Oh, look at that, banned for trying to find other transphobes in the chat. No, we cannot all agree that this dude is still a dude, prick. Go be a douchebag on someone else's channel. Go hee-haw somewhere else, jackass. Have you ever felt the universe wink at you? What does it feel like? Because I've definitely had moments where I felt like that. There's two different things that come to mind. One is like this, and I'm not sure which experience you're talking about. Are you talking about the experience of feeling like you are one with the universe and like everything's gonna be okay because ultimately you're made of the same star stuff that everything else is, and you're part of that great cycle too, and your consciousness never really goes away; it just gets reformed into other things. There's that, and that kind of feels like that. Honestly, feels like the universe giving me a hug. I think when you mean the universe winked at you, I think that's like a coincidence that clarifies something, right? Would that be the universe winking at you? No, I am not delusional. The people who think transgender people are all delusional are, in fact, themselves the fucking delusional ones. They are the people who believe that their rigid, Christian informed ideas about gender actually reflect something in the real world. They are under the collective delusion of gender, the collective delusion of rigidly delineated gender lines. So don't call me the delusional one when you guys are the ones operating under what is provably a fucking delusion. If you're going to be an asshole, learn how to spell. Oh, that's a three-body problem reference? Huh. Neat. That's kind of cool. Shit. Wrong, babe. Imagine if your male brain got stuck in a female body. Are you talking to me or the chat? I feel like you got to be talking to somebody in chat. No, it doesn't fully satisfy our thirsty human hearts, as evidenced by all the people who claim to be Christians by day and are slutty fucking kink loving motherfuckers at night. Like, there wouldn't be so many Republican politicians and pastors revealed as gay if the love of Christ was really as satisfying as all of you guys run around acting like it is. I think you guys are coping. I think you guys are coping hardcore. It's a crop top with sleeves, too. It's nice. I think you are coping. That's why you have this steam. Well, maybe I'll take your comments seriously if you rewrite it without any spelling errors. But as of right now, you're a moron, and I'm not fucking convinced. I won't respond to them. Those guys just rub me the wrong way. These guys? Those guys? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Not 100% sure. Are you just talking about the transphobes in chat rubbing you the wrong way? I mean, yeah, they rub me completely the wrong way. Because they all represent, the voice of this, what I think is the most negative effect, right, of patriarchy and the oppression of queer people and women. One of the most deleterious effects of that is enforcing a rigid idea of behavior that people are expected to comply with, regardless of how comfortable they are with it. And anyone who falls outside of those rigid delineations is punished by society, or at the very least punished by certain members of society. Certain people will choose not to associate with them. Certain businesses will choose not to do business with them, etc., etc. And when that mentality is widespread enough, you get to the point where we're at now, where it's actually kind of hard for trans people to just move about in society without being discriminated against in employment, housing, etc. It's one thing to not be friends with trans people because you just don't like trans people or whatever. As fucked up and bigoted as I think that might be, it doesn't really affect me on my day to day. But someone being a landlord and deciding that they're not, which I mean, I live on like land that like my family owns, um, and renting isn't really an issue for me anymore. But there have been times in my life when I was renting, and um, I'm just really thankful that me being trans was never an issue. But then again, I never had to try and get a house through the rental process after I came out as trans, because it was before I was out as trans that I actually had a rental contract there for a while. Long story short, um, people people are reporting more and more discrimination. Trans people specifically are reporting more and more discrimination as time goes by. And I think that all of it is driven by a media narrative that is, um, in my opinion, it exists to coddle right-wing Republican attitudes about gender identity and traditionalism. It exists so that Republicans can get their voters to vote for them. It exists for Republican politicians to make big stump speeches about, and that's about it. As far as this like harsh bigotry angle that some people are choosing to take, I think it is all just an outgrowth of the Republican Party's willingness to destroy entire groups of people if it means winning elections. Religion is what has created wars and killed innocent people. Jesus Christ secures freedom from depression, anxiety, and fear from my life. He gave me purpose. The only reason you discovered Jesus Christ was through religion, my friend. The only reason Christianity survived as a belief system is because it's because it was taken up by the Roman Empire. That's why. That's why Christianity still exists. That's why Christianity isn't just another forgotten cult. Um, you can trace it all back to the fact that that Constantine adopted Christianity. Full stop, period. That's why Christianity continues to exist. That's it. And you would not know the name of Christ had it not been for those early Catholics. Nothing in this world fully satisfies me, and I tried so hard to find meaning in my life. Jesus Christ revealed himself to me, and he's calling you. No, he is not. Bro, I don't need God to feel happy in my life. And I cannot help but feel condescended to when somebody like you assumes that I have never heard the message of Christ. Do you know anything about me? Probably not, right? Did you know that I was raised in a Pentecostal church in northern Mississippi, aka the Deep South? Did you know that that I went to church every Sunday until I was 13 years old? Did you know that I used to wear a little suit to church? Did you know I've read the Bible all the way through? Probably not, right? You've probably just assumed that I'm just another atheist heathen that's never heard the good word. But the fact of it is, nobody like that exists. Something like 98% of kids are raised with religion, even if their parents aren't religious. Kids usually get raised with some kind of religious fucking teaching, whether it's by a grandma or a parent or an older sibling or something. Somebody takes them through the fucking steps of getting involved in some religion. And I think it's just shy of child abuse, frankly, to introduce the idea of hell and eternal damnation to the mind of a child. But leaving that aside, it is just a fact that you almost can't escape hearing about Christianity if you're raised in America. Most Christians haven't read the Bible? No, no. Most Christians have barely read a whole book's equivalent of the Bible. Just the sad truth. Also, there's 74 people in here. Make sure every one of you guys are hitting that like button. It really does help. And, hey, think about it. If just half of you hit that button right now, we would have 35, 37, 7, yeah, we would have 37 fucking likes. Over 37. We'd have 37 plus 7, which would be 44. So come on, hit that like button. It really does help. What is a Christian? From my understanding, a Christian is someone who believes in the life, death, and the life, prophecy, teachings, and crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Someone who believes in the divinity of Christ, in the idea of the resurrection, and believes that he was the Messiah prophesied in the Old Testament. That is a Christian. Someone who believes that the prophecies of the Old Testament were satisfied by the birth and, like I said, the birth, life, death, etc. of Jesus Christ as described in the New Testament. Are you Christian? No. I am. You know what? I'm just going to be completely honest with you, dude. I'm a crazy hippie. That's it. There's no point in me trying to aggrandize my religion and make it sound like my belief system, make it sound like something it's not or more complicated than it really is. The fact of it is, I believe a bunch of crazy shit that doesn't really go together necessarily, that isn't tied together by one central philosophy, because ultimately, there are certain things you're just never going to prove one way or the other, and it helps me make more sense out of life to have a few supernatural beliefs here and there. So while I don't believe in God, as described by the modern Bible as it has come down to us over the years, oh shit, look at that. Look at the fog. Sorry, I always let the horn and the engines pass by before I take my fingers out of my ears, because people make fun of me for it, but dude, I refused to lose my hearing by 65 because I was like, I'm gonna tough it out through every loud sound. And people don't understand, I think, too. Maybe you guys do because you just saw that image. A lot of people don't get just how close I live to their crossing. A lot of people just don't get it. People just don't believe in anything with no evidence. I mean, some people definitely do. And in fact, I think everyone believes in certain things without a lot of evidence. There's a lot of everyday kind of faith that plays into human decision making and the way we go about our daily lives. Um, like there's a lot of like trust placed in people that might not necessarily be based on some kind of giant compendium of research and evidence, right? That's just based on the common. Well, it's really not based on any logical understanding at all. It's just how human society works, right? But if you really start thinking about it, that's when the mental process that we're describing gets a little bit more complicated. Um, but I definitely think that there are some people who take it to that philosophical level and who do believe things for which there is no evidence, no compelling evidence at all. I think some people choose to believe these things to satisfy other narratives that they want to believe about the world. And I think some people are just raised into believing these narratives and they never find out enough information to make them question it. Or they're raised into that narrative and it's convenient for them, so they have even less reason to question it. And I think that that describes most people that are wrapped up in Christianity here in America. I think that they were raised in Christianity, that's all they know, and like their entire like work group and church group and all this other shit, it's all wrapped up in religion. Their entire lives are wrapped up in religion. They receive so much benefit from being Christians and they're never going to turn their back on that, no matter how much they think they might be lying to themselves and others, right? So you can't take like the selfishness angle out of it, especially not when you're talking about a fucking capitalistic society. Random, but do you have any advice on loss and dealing with grief? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if it's good advice. I would say confront it head on is number one. Um, don't pretend like it's something else. Um, if it's grief you know you're going to be feeling, but that you haven't experienced yet, make every effort you can to spend as much time with that person or pet as you possibly can before the moment they have to go. Um, just make every effort to, because you will thank yourself in later years for that. um Other than that, dealing with grief is a very personal process. Dealing with loss is a very personal process, and I can't tell you what would be the best thing for you to do in order to take your mind off things for a little while, or in order to work through things directly, right? But there are different methods, right? There are some people who find it fitting to um, start journaling in the wake of a grief event. and documenting their days, and it helps bring them some clarity and everything. Honestly, a lot of what you'll find for dealing with grief just has to do with self-care tips. A lot of it's just about taking care of yourself, not allowing yourself to succumb to melancholy, and maintaining some kind of connection to the person who is gone. You're welcome. 6 months into transition myself. Love seeing queer people on here being themselves. Love to see it. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, we try to be ourselves, if nothing else, here on this channel. And if you like this type of shit, hey, please feel free to subscribe and hit that little bell. And if any of you guys are watching and you really like this content, that's the best thing you can do as well, because you'll get to see more of these. Plus, you can hit that like button. It really does help the channel. Plus, it increases our presence in the algorithm. I mean, that's the main way it helps the channel, honestly. And finally, we have memberships open. So if you want a closer look at the things I get up to with my cooking and my other hobbies and stuff like that, please feel free to join the membership. I'm going to be starting to upload more long form content in the coming weeks, and my members will get first dibs on all that content. And finally, super chats are enabled. I read every single one, even hateful ones. So if you have anything you want to make absolutely sure that I see, send it with $1 attached. Well, I think you actually have to send $2 to get a text box, but still, you get the idea. Anyway, with the shameless self-promotion out of the way, I'll go back to the fucking comments. What if Jesus was real? What if eternal life in heaven or eternal death in hell was real? How would your life look differently, or would it look different? They're unfalsifiable hypotheses, right? So if you were able to prove for undeniable fact that heaven was real, then you would also probably be able to prove what parts of the Bible should be taken as gospel truth, what sort of rules we should be expected to follow as human beings, what exactly qualifies us for saving. Do deeds matter? You have to understand, this might be something you understand already if you know anything about the denominational nature of Christianity. Every fucking Christian sect has its own fucking separate ideas about who will and will not get into the kingdom of heaven. And that makes the conversation pretty difficult to say what would life look like, because um, United Methodists have a different answer for what you have to do to live a good and just life that can lead to heaven someday. They have a different answer for that than Catholics do. Catholics have a different answer than Southern Baptists do. Southern Baptists have a different answer than Anabaptists do, you know? And along all of these different sects, you can see different levels of, or like, I'm trying to think of this one. There's one branch of Christianity, one sect that is like super fucking progressive lefty. And, that just proves that there is like a wide variation um, in the religion. 99 cents. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Here, let me give you a like and a heart. Thank you so much. Non-denominational is the best. Those do tend to be the Christians I get along with best. As a non-Christian, I don't really feel qualified to judge the quality of any given Christian over another in terms of their like ecumenical heritage or whatever. But as far as me being an atheist and liking someone, I tend to like the non-denominational folks a fair bit more than people who fall into a strict denomination. $10 minutes of manure that's netted me 112 fucking viewers, 10 likes, and 99 cents so far. What are you doing with your 30 minutes, my friend? I'm just wondering, like, you're talking a bunch of shit, but one of us has an audience and the other is a random weirdo in my chat with no profile picture. Chill vibe. These are a really chill vibe. That is one thing we try to enforce around here to the best of our ability. Thank you. That's actually that is a currency that I'm completely unfamiliar with. So thank you. Sindre. Nice. I appreciate it. Fit check, please. What is a fit check? Is that just like I show you guys what I'm wearing? Okay, well, it's going to be hard to see because I'm in candlelight, but I'm wearing these shorts from Torrid with, they have like the little frills on the end. They're not super exaggerated, but they're, noticeable. Kind of free-flowing and kind of flowy. And then the crop top is, I wish you guys could see the fabric of it, because the fabric is actually quite pretty. There you go. There you go. You can kind of see the fabric of it. Bro, you can report me all day long. I'm not engaging in anything that breaks the terms of use. So report me all day long, kid. I make my revenue through fan support. So people that like this kind of content, super chat. I read their super chats. I thank them for their super chats, and we all go along about our day. And super chats are a digital good that are not subject to demonetization policies. So, like, if you're demonetized on an individual video, they don't take your super chat revenue for that video. And I'm not making, like, ad revenue on vertical live streams is not known for its productive nature. I mean, honestly, ad revenue on YouTube has kind of been bullshit from what I understand for like 10 years, but I only got monetized a couple months ago. So I'm just telling you guys what I know about how I do things so far. So go ahead, report away. Have fun. It'll get age restricted for people in fucking South Korea or whatever, and like it'll get blocked in a couple countries and age restricted, and it'll be fine. We'll go on. We will all go on living. I feel like somebody sent a super chat earlier, and I might not have read it actually. Let me see here. Let me scroll up. Let me scroll up. Oh no, never mind. I did read that one. Okay, cool. Let me, I'm just going to fix the chat real quick and make this chat a little more readable by doing that and this. Ha! Get fucked. Now try to repeat the same dumbass shit in my chat. I'm sorry. I hate to do that to those of you who are being respectful and intelligent. I hate to do that to you, but goddamn, when the chat is just going so fucking quick that I can't even sniff out the intelligent chats because 90% of the chat is just it's like unreadable bullshit. It's gibberish, and at that point you have to fucking throttle it, you know? By the way, there's 183 people in here. Make sure you guys hit that like button. It really is appreciated. But yeah, I guess now if anybody that wants to ask a fucking question that they think could be interesting for the stream to talk about, now is your time to do that. Now is your chance to shine. You have the floor. What would you pick if you had to choose a new decade to be born in? That's a hard one. I really don't know. Right? Because, like, if I say, like, because we're assuming, here's the thing. My answer changes if you ask me. My answer changes is, like, if you give me the ability to be born in that decade as a cis woman, my answer is going to be a little different than if I'm transported as my current self back to then, and I'm still going to grow up to be a trans femme. You know what I mean? Like, if that's the case, honestly, I think I was probably born in the right decade. Maybe the 80s would have been cooler because I would have gotten to experience the 90s, as a teenager. But then again, I don't know. I really don't know. Honestly, I feel like questions a lot of times like this, they're interesting for me to think about and they're fun to engage in. But I try not to engage in it too much because I feel like I've finally begun to come. I've begun to come to a place. Those words don't sound like they go together. I've begun to come to a place where I no longer feel burdened by the choices I've made necessarily. Where I don't feel like I want to go back and do everything over again, if that makes sense. And having that mindset makes it hard for me to think, like, what would I go back and do, I think you have a lot of good things to say. People aren't willing to listen. I appreciate that a lot. And I understand, honestly, why a lot of them aren't willing to listen because they are propagandized to about people like me day in and day out. Like, you have to understand when it comes to the American media landscape, especially. I really can't speak for Europe, but when it comes to the American media landscape, trans people, it's like open season on trans people right now. You can be as hateful to trans people as you want. You can make any joke at their expense. We are the culture's one of the culture's punching bags right now, and because we also are queer, and because violence against queer people is like it's like one of those forms of bigotry based violence that we haven't really managed to get past yet. Like, lynchings, still very uncommon. Racially based killings outside of like uh, police overreach and that kind of thing, pretty uncommon. But it is still to this day not uncommon to read a news story about someone being literally murdered outright just for being trans, just for being queer in some way. And that rhetoric being ramped up, it sucks not just for people like me due to reasons like that, because ultimately safety reasons, but it also sucks for the people who are being propagandized to, because ultimately the reason they're being propagandized to is because the people who own and control this country do not want people like me linking arms with people like the people who are in here saying bigoted shit because they don't know no better. They don't want people like us linking arms and marching on Washington, D.C. and Wall Street and not leaving until our demands are met. They want to prevent that at any cost. If it means endangering the lives of trans people by ramping up the rhetoric towards us to a fever pitch, they'll do it. If it means targeting Mexicans so heavily that massive deportation movements are happening where thousands of people are being shipped out of the country, many of them to countries they're not even fucking from, they'll do it. They don't give a fuck. It is all about ensuring that you and me stay mad at each other and that we never attack the real fucking problem, which are the motherfuckers that refuse to allow their taxes. To allow their income to be taxed at a rate that would allow us to afford a universal basic healthcare system. Um, it's the motherfuckers who have, for the last 10 years, resisted every effort to change how education is funded in this country. Those are the people you have to be mad at. Those are the people that are the reason why your wages have remained stagnant since the 1980s. Those are the people that are the reason why unions have been collapsing. Those are the people that are the reason why your roads never get fixed. And when they do, it's insufficient. They are the reason. Not trans people, not Mexicans, not black people, not women, not any of the things you are made to feel fucking bad about. And if you're on the left, it's not your average right wing voter that is responsible for these things either. It is the fucking moneyed interests. They are the enemy. The politicians and their fucking donors. And this is not a difficult lesson, and I'm not the first person to point this out. Different setting where you at? Tonight I'm just, well, earlier tonight the frogs were sounding off, and I wanted to sit out here and do the stream. Um, with some candlelight right outside, because I thought it'd be a good night to do that kind of thing, because frogs are out, you can hear a few crickets, so yeah, chill vibe tonight for sure. But it's still been pretty popping, which is nice. Can we get a 360? You could, but I don't know you'd be able to see much in this light. Real question: if your perfect world, what does it look like? Yes, I waited the 5 minutes to ask. Well, I think my perfect world is a world in which people are guaranteed housing, where you don't have to worry about that going out from under you, where you have hereditary right to land that you grew up on, and where land that is not occupied by active housing or active agriculture is doled out to people on that same basis. So you turn 18, and if you, um, like, if your family isn't adjacent to land that can be like added to that, and now you've got that little section that's basically yours, then you get issued one that's nearby or whatever. And my perfect world is one in which, if you want to move to a different place, rather than selling your little patch of land, you simply file a process request with whatever this new, uh, you know, management bureau would be called. You file it with them, and they get you set up with a new location, and that goes back on the divvy charter or whatever, and they can give it to somebody else. Or if there's houses, if you've already built a house there, and you just you lived your whole life somewhere in a cold climate, and you're retiring now and you want to move to a warm climate, you just file the paperwork to get that done, and you're given a list of places with vacancies in the area that you want to move to, and you go through and look at all those and decide whether you want to pursue one of those, or whether you want to stay and wait a while and see what else opens up. We could manage this so easily, and this is not that utopian, but it's probably one of the most important things about the world. If it were perfect, if it were ideal, my world, my idea of an ideal world, there we go. I think it would have to be one of the primary things. The other thing is a guarantee of food. Now, this would not necessarily have to be in the form of universal food stamps. This could be in the form of like a small food stipend, but mainly I would see it being done through local production of food, like as much as we can. Do you guys realize, this is a little bit of a tangent, do you guys realize how much pollution is created just to get your tomato from where it grows to your table, or to like the sauce can that you buy? Like, raise your hand if you have any idea how much pollution that generates. Just literally, show of hands. Like, have you ever even considered it? Do, do you support femboys? Why wouldn't I? Get in where you fit in, man. Guarantee of housing and food would probably require 90% or more tax rate, though, right? I think a lot of this would be achieved not necessarily through high taxation, but through societal cooperation, right? I think an ideal world wouldn't have to um, wouldn't have to manipulate human psychology into forcing us into a consumerist kind of environment where taxation is just the easiest way to coordinate all of society's self-centered labor on public goods project, which is what taxes are supposed to be, right? The whole idea of taxes is we're all a bunch of self-centered pricks, but some of us are less self-centered enough to where we realize, hey, we ought to probably take care of one another, because that ensures that if something falls bad on us, then we'll be taken care of. So it's, even then, it's kind of self-interest, but taxes are supposed to be the way a self-interested society uh, acts altruistically. Does that make sense? Do you find straight men hottest? No, I actually find most straight men pretty repellent, actually. Most, not all. Something I've learned is it only takes a few bad apples to make a bad name for a group. I guess, yeah. Hitler, for exist? No, I don't think Hitler is a good example. I don't think people like look down on Germans because Hitler was a German. Do you think meritocracies could work? Yes, but I don't know if they would be the best way to structure society. I mean, lots of things can work on a certain time scale, right? Capitalism works for, you know, about as long as you have land to keep filling up and exploiting, but eventually you run out of land and the system of infinite growth can't grow infinitely anymore and the whole fucking thing collapses, right? So capitalism we know has like a limited time span before we're all sent back to the Stone Age and we have to start again. Which literally is that is the logical endpoint of capitalism. The more you learn about it, the scarier it is. It's you know, it's very emblematic of the death urge that Western society deals with. But certain other ideas can last for longer, right? Some ideas can be future proofed in a way that capitalism is not. And they can be future proofed in that way by not requiring infinite growth, by being based on sustainability from the very outset, which is why a lot of my ideas involve um, making food production way more local, getting people to grow their own fruits and vegetables, and designing cities and towns with multi occupational buildings that are designed to house gardening spots that are easier to maintain and easier to keep even in colder climates because they're integrated into the buildings themselves. I think that with a few, well, not just a few, but I think with a bunch of tweaks to our society, many of which wouldn't be that hard, but a lot of, like, some of them would be pretty fucking substantial. Like, I don't know how many fucking giant cities with endless highways and endless rows of skyscrapers. I don't know how much of that shit you can have in a truly sustainable society. Like, I think we can keep the big ones, but we can't do any more. Like, I think my ideal world, like if I could slap my, not slap, but if I could snap my fingers right now and start just declaring laws, one of the first things I would say is like, no more skyscrapers. Instead, I would consult the genie and be like, hey, invent for me this building and make perfect blueprints of it that are like agriculturally, architecturally, and physically sound. And I have this idea in my head for this kind of like pyramidal building that has tiered gardens on every level that get they get narrower as you go up the building because obviously you want to let as much natural sunlight into the gardens as possible, and making each one a little smaller than the next ensures that they get the most surface area, but or I'm sorry, the most uh, it ensures that the most surface area on their leaves is exposed by light as possible, or is exposed to light as possible. But it also encourages structural stability within the buildings themselves because you can have these big cross members running from each corner of the top of the building to corners at the base, giving it that kind of pyramidal structure that we all know from the pyramids in Giza and pyramids all over the planet resist hurricanes and bad weather perhaps better than any other kind of structure. A big old triangle. Weird to think about. But yeah, I would want that. I would want buildings like that erected instead of new skyscrapers, and I would want. I think a perfect world would include a shit ton of updates to the way we do architecture, updates to the way we do home design, office design, commercial building design in general. I think we would have to adopt rooftop gardens en masse and massive gardening complexes in the areas around the parking lots and things like that. We have to get over this idea of a concrete jungle if we are to make ourselves sustainable as a society and if we are to save ourselves from climate change. Whether you think it's human caused or not, it's happening. What I think we should all agree on is that human beings can do something about it. Whether we caused it or not, fine, we don't have to argue about that. It's happening regardless. Are we going to deal with it, or are we going to burn ourselves out like a little cinder because we can? Hot topic question. Am I a bad guy if I don't support trans? Like, I don't go out of my way to misgender someone or make someone life harder. I just don't agree with the trans. I mean, I wouldn't say you're like a bad person, but I would say you're misinformed probably somewhere along the way. I might say that you're ignorant, but I don't attach a whole lot of moral weight to being ignorance, or I'm sorry, to being ignorant. Unless you try to turn that ignorance into policy, I really ain't got much of a problem with you, you know? Like, even if you are transphobic, I really don't have a problem with transphobes until they start talking their crazy, violent rhetoric shit. So when someone comes in here talking about, like, um, wanting to see people like me deported, that's just like Nazi rhetoric. That's just like concentration camp level Buchenwald ass fucking Nazi rhetoric, and I ain't gonna have it in my chat. But if somebody's just like, like you, like I try not to inconvenience trans people, make them feel unwelcome and uncomfortable, but I don't really know that I uh, buy into the whole like transgenderism thing. I think that that's a way softer and more understandable position than I want trans people to be rounded up and taken out of the country, you know? I hate having to hide my sexuality because people are too stubborn to accept being gay slash trans is who you are and what you're comfortable with. Can I get your opinion on this? I mean, ultimately, you hate having to hide your sexuality because you um, are in a situation where you have to coddle other people's feelings. See, if you're not in a situation where you have to coddle other people's feelings, like if you're in a country where you can openly express yourself as queer and you're just worried about losing friends and you're not a child, all of this advice goes out the window if you're under 18 or whatever the age of majority in your free and expressive country is. And if you don't live in a free and expressive country, all of this advice also goes out the window. But my advice to people, as of a conversation I had last night, is probably going to be to come out from here on out. Because as I talked through it, I realized, there are so many reasons why it's a bad idea to postpone that kind of thing. So I think it's horrible that there are people like us, and when I say that, I mean queer people broadly, that are not able to express themselves the way I am, you know. And me being an American, even though I live in the deep South, it doesn't make much of a difference as to my ability to self-express. Like I got some dirty looks when I went to Walmart earlier, but nobody said anything, and nobody was gonna say anything, and nobody was about to be violent about it, and that is something that is perhaps a privilege that I enjoy that a lot of people internationally don't. So that's something to consider as well. But overall, it's just a fucked up thing that we human beings do to one another, and it all has to do with conformity. It all has to do with conforming to other people's ideas of what happiness should be and what gender identity is and all this other shit. I assume you're an adult troll face, but if you're an adult who disagrees with somebody's life choices, that's entirely valid, as long as you don't hold it against them. I mean, yeah, like it's valid insofar as like I don't think you're like a reprehensible person just for holding a belief like that. I don't know. It becomes hard to delineate these things sometimes because ultimately what we're driving at is the kind of like fluid nature of morality. Yeah, it's not that you need to be happy for us. I don't think anybody wants you to be happy for us. I just think people are miffed by the fact that so many people are put off by us, right? Like, not just put off, but that they feel the need to lash out at people like me. No, I don't think like the Pride movement is not meant to inspire a bunch of happiness and shit in straight people. That's not the idea of the Pride movement. The idea of the Pride movement is to make straight and um, like cisgender people more comfortable with the idea of queer people, with seeing us in public, etc. Yeah, you're not obligated to feel happy. That's fair. You don't have to be happy for them so long as you respect their choices. Yeah, I don't think there's any harm done just by having that opinion. Like I said, I think the harm comes when you try to legislate it. I think the harm comes when someone says, my ignorance on this topic is enough to justify legislation. Like, my disagreement with this idea is enough for me to tell other people that they shouldn't be allowed to pursue this treatment method, when really it should be a conversation between the trans person and their doctor. You don't want to see freaks at Walmart? Well, um, good luck, because every time I've ever been in Walmart, I've seen freaks. And see, this is the type of bigotry that trans people we're just expected to endure it, but no other group. Like, dude, I hate to make this an example, but imagine the type of outrage you would experience if you said something like if you were complaining about black people being in Walmart too often, and you were talking crazy shit like, I don't want to go in there with a bunch of apes. People would be so fucking mad, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. What I wonder is, why have so many people decided that bigotry against trans people is perfectly fine and justified because of your personal ideas about what gender is and what it should be, what it means, etc. Life is short. Yeah, dude, you can give people this speech all day long. It just doesn't matter, dude. There are just some people that are dead set against certain ideas. Like I said earlier, I think in a lot of their cases, it just comes from projection. They wish they could live a life like I live. They wish they could be open with themselves and about themselves, and they can't. They crave it so badly, but they can't get it. And that produces this vitriolic reaction in them where they are blowing up at people like me merely because we are living lives that they wish they could have lived something like. If seeing somebody in Walmart is a problem, you should just not go to Walmart. Yeah, 100%. That's another fucking thing, too. If you are so fucking sensitive that you are genuinely offended by seeing someone that you dislike or seeing some kind of person that you dislike, if you're such a pussy that that makes you, that gets your fucking panties in a wad and you go to the internet bitching about it, you're just a soft pussy. I'm sorry. You're just a soft, weak person who feels the need to have their fucking morality plastered all over the fucking public consciousness for no reason. Uh, I've had mixed results with the topic. Some say I have to support and be happy that someone is open about their choice. For me, it's like, I'm in my lane, they're in theirs. Yeah, I think when people say that, they're really just trying to get you to understand, like, no, you don't need to be hateful towards these people. Like, why can't you just? I think what they're probably saying is like, why can't you just be happy for the fact that they're being themselves? Which I get the idea, right? And maybe you can understand it if I explain it a little bit. But what they're saying is like, God damn it, I'm gonna have to go inside or something because the phone is about to die. Um, hold on, because I want to continue this conversation, but um, the phone's about to die, so can't help that. Okay, so that right there. Ow. Ah, God, my feet hurt. Ow. I really hope this is not the front end of a fucking gout flare-up. No. Damn it. Okay. Whee! Yeah, you don't have to support us, but letting us be us is a form of support. You know? I think what that person is trying to say is, as opposed to just being miffed at them for some reason, why not be happy for the fact that they are living their lives the most honest way that they can? Whose fault is it that they're suffering? Ultimately, suffering is just kind of a feature of life. I mean, when human beings define suffering, all the things that we define suffering as are things that animals experience. We are not the only people who experience suffering, unless you think that dolphins aren't complex enough to process things like we do. But we know that's not the case. We know that many other primates have wildly complex emotional lives, and if that's the case, then how do we fairly say that suffering is limited to human beings? And if suffering isn't limited to human beings, then it's no one's fault. It's just something that happens. It's just a feature of life. It's something to be overcome. It's something to be dealt with. When it comes to the elevated amount of suffering that I think human beings are put through needlessly, that is always at the behest of the billionaire class and the fucking rich elite. It is at their fucking behest that we labor and toil. It is for their bit that we are oppressed. His name is Shenzi, and yes, I can show him off. Hi, Shenzi. Hi, kitty. Say hi to the camera. Say hi to the camera. Oh, he's looking at you guys. He's saying hi. Hi, Shenzi. Hi, Shenzi. Don't make biscuits on my chin. There you go. Okay. I live in a country with public health care. Do you think gender-affirming healthcare should be covered or should be considered elective and not covered, i.e. you have to pay out of pocket? I think it should be covered. I mean, you're talking about, like, we're talking about trans people here. Do you realize what a small fucking percentage we are of the population? We make up such a tiny fucking chunk of the overall human beings on this blue-green ball of rock. So what would be the possible counter argument to trans people being allowed to get being allowed to have their surgeries and their gender transition care? God, I'm gonna have to get off here soon because I can barely talk. But anyway, what would be the argument against trans people being allowed to get their gender affirming care health care paid for through the universal healthcare system? Like, there's so fucking few of us. Like, yes, it's expensive, but so is treating cancer patients. So is treating AIDS patients. So is treating even like cold and flu patients, just because of how fucking many of them there are taxing to treat, but we don't use that as an excuse to not treat them, right? Now, when it comes to cosmetic shit, I do understand why people want that to be elective and something that you have to pay for out of pocket, because, um, like, but even then, I think that there should be exceptions. I think that you should be able to, like, go to a court and plead your case, if nothing else, to have your to have a cosmetic surgery covered under the taxpayer funded system if you can make some good case for it, right? Like if a person has been getting medical treatment for like there's this rare fucking mental condition. I can't remember the name of it. Phantom limb disease maybe, but I feel like that's not it. I feel like that's the one where you have a limb missing and you feel like it's alien limb syndrome. That's what it is. Alien limb syndrome. Imagine somebody has that, right? I think that a person with alien limb syndrome should be able to eventually go to a court and petition for an exception to what would normally be a cosmetic surgery, i.e., a needless amputation. And, like, instead they get it covered under the universal healthcare system because it's part of the public good by ensuring that that person actually follows what is good for their health. Now, there's a lot of people who say that alien limb syndrome patients should not be allowed to engage in the modifications that they want to engage in. I say, um, you know, there are a lot worse things we could do in medicine than listening to someone who is utterly convinced that they shouldn't have a fucking certain part that they have. But that's a very specific and random example, so maybe I could find a better one. I'm starting my transition to female. What would you say is the hardest part, and clothing brands would you recommend for femme vibes that aren't super overt? Honestly, one of the best places to buy clothing if you're trans, especially if you're plus size, but if you're trans and looking for good fashion that's not like incredibly overstated, Shein and Torrid are both great brands to go with, in my opinion. And they both have pretty user-friendly online stores too, which is nice. As far as what's the hardest part, honestly, just dealing with the, how do I put this? Dealing with the frag grenade you're about to throw into your life, girl. That's the hardest part, honestly, out of anything. Out of everything, that's the hardest fun part, is dealing with the fallout from the decision to come out as trans. Because you are going to lose friends, not all of your friends, but you will have at least a couple that at the very least have an argument with you, and you're going to feel like you guys aren't friends for a while, at the very least. That's if things turn out as perfectly as they can. For a lot of people, 80% of their friend group just goes away and they're not friends with them anymore. I mean, I'm 5 years out from my transition. I don't talk to a single friend I had from before I came out as trans. I don't have, so you have to be prepared for things like that. There are people in my family that don't want to have anything to do with me now because I'm trans. My parents do. My parents are more or less fine with it, but I've got other family members that aren't so fucking cool with it, and these are sacrifices you have to make in order to be honest with yourself. I'm not saying this to dissuade you. I'm just saying it to prepare you. Doesn't mean you should continue living in the darkness of the closet. It means that you should be prepared for you should be prepared to learn that some of what you thought were full-bodied human voices were the voices of skeletons, and the skeletons were never in the closet. They were right out there in the room, and they dissipate just as soon as you see them and fall into a pile of bones. Ruining their lives. What a fucking cunt. In what way? You know what? I'm not even going to give you the fucking chance to spread your fucking dumbass propaganda. Trans people who experience loving, caring, and accepting environments are every fucking time way happier with their lives. The main and primary reason why trans people have a hard time, reason why being trans can ruin someone's life, is because of dumb motherfuckers like you. Because of dumb, ignorant, bigoted cunts like you that want to talk shit on other people for no reason other than their gender identity. At the very least, do as good as I do. I wait till a motherfucker gives me an opinion-based reason. Like, you gotta tell me that you actually like pancakes more than waffles before I start calling you a moron, you know? I'm not gonna do it just because you're Mexican, or just because you're trans, or just because you're gay, or just because you're straight, or just because you're fucking Asian, or just because you are a cop or something like that. I'm gonna, I'm gonna wait to fucking hear, like, I'm gonna taste the juice of the apple before I throw the fucking thing out. Does that make sense? I got reverse gender dysphoria. Does that exist? Cis girl people kept calling me a guy and asking, yeah. I don't know if it would be called reverse gender dysphoria, but yes, this effect definitely exists. There are people who are actually totally comfortable with their gender identity as assigned from birth, who, for reasons usually outside of their control, get mislabeled and made fun of and poked fun at as if they are trans or as if they are actually the other sex, And it's one of the many fucked up mutant poison children of the patriarchal system of gender. Like, the very fact that you could be poked fun at in that way, the very fact that you could be mislabeled in that way, is an outgrowth of rigidly enforced gender norms. The reason it was able to fuck you up so bad is because there are all kinds of implications that come with being a boy. And because it comes with an assumption about it comes with an assumption about your genitalia. It's just like gender is a weird fucking thing, and it gets weirder the more you think about it, right? Uh, like, when I define gender, I say that it is the collection of behaviors that we associate with what we with it's a collection of behaviors that we associate with what we assume to be the sex of someone we see out in public based on what they are currently presenting as, which automatically makes it a weird fucking dynamic thing, right? Because um, it's a collection of behaviors that are based on presumption, right? And the way people treat each other. Like, transphobes love to act like they've got like perfect fucking trans radar, but they are horrible at it. It's been proven time and time again that transvestigators are really fucking bad at figuring out cis woman from trans woman. And so when you realize that gender is ultimately just a collection of behaviors, that they are like self-referential, right? And that they are subject to change over time, and you start to realize that it's based around making an assumption about what you have in your pants, it just starts to sound really weird to me. It's like, why do we need to know this? Like, why does this need to be such a prominent feature of our life? Hold on. I'm just going to get rid of a couple people that are just being morons. Why can't Lesser talk in your chat anymore? They should be able to. Oh, you know what? Lesser might have gotten caught up in a ban wave. That sucks, dude. That sucks, bro. I'm going to have to go through and clear out the ban rules. Lesser probably got caught in a ban wave because people were being shitty in the chat. I'm sick of Dobby for real, for real. Yeah, me too. I was getting pretty fucking sick of that shit. Is that guitar behind you real? As real as the nipples on my chest, my friend. We just trying to preach the Third Amendment. Free my boy. I will. Probably not tonight, but I will. I will free your boy. Play something? Okay, let me smoke a few puffs off this J and I will. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm back. I'm back. Uh-oh, no. I just had to go look up some chords. There's a song I want to play, but nobody even has the right chords online either. Not the chords I'm looking for, dude. I want to figure out the specific chords to an intro of a specific song, but nobody has them, so I'm just going to have to puzzle it out myself one of these days. W understanding between both sides. I know, right? I mean, that's the environment we try to foster here. I have a strict rule about matching energy, so if you come at me sideways, I'm going to come back at you sideways, because I don't think the conversation is advanced much by me taking a hateful person and ennobling their viewpoints by pretending like they're not moronic, you know? When it comes to someone that's being actively hostile, when it comes to somebody who's just got like what I might consider an ignorant position, but ultimately it just reduces down to a disagreement in philosophy or whatever, I try to run that person through why I understand things the way I have come to understand them, you know? All right, let's play this song. It was promised after all. There we go. Still sounds off though. I have a chromatic tuner, so there should be nothing wrong with the tune on this guitar right now. There literally should be nothing wrong with it. It should be about as perfect as you can get it. I think we'll have to just take that as it is. Alrighty. Alrighty. Sounds off because of the capo. No. That's not it. I know how to compensate for the capo fucking things up. But I think I finally got it sounding right. Sat on the bulb rocks with plum wine, and we watched the fog roll and swallow the bridge on the bay. Thought I could live here, but I'm still in high gear, sweating and freezing 3,000 away. Old Pennsylvania, 3 Mile Island, your coal fires buckle the miners' highway. I'd love just to leave you, but it's good to see you. And up at the Del Hostile City, PA, where we all come from. Most died of the black lung, another browbeater, a boxer and safe. When he finally got caught, the cops made a few calls. They opened his cell, never fought him again. No Pennsylvania, 3 Mile Island, your coal fires buckle my way. I'd love just to leave you, but it's good to see you. Head up Belvedere, Hostile City, PA. Head on Belvedere, Hostile City, PA. Wake me when Steel City's roadwork signs shine in my face. Now I'm safe. No Pennsylvania, 3 Mile Island, your coal fires buckle the miners' highways. I'd love just to leave you, but it's good to see you. And don't build the down, Hostile City, PA. And don't build the down, Hostile City, PA. Excuse me. Your capo is sick? Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it is pretty sick, isn't it? It is pretty cool, isn't it? We all need to act. Repeal the third. I agree. Big, beefy soldiers in our houses immediately. Absolutely cinema. Thank you. I hope that means something. I hope that means something good. Nice song? Well, thank you. Can you share the lore behind the stickers on your guitar? The stickers? Do you mean the pins on the strap? Well, I can share the lore with this. Well, okay, number one, there are no stickers on this guitar. Everything on here was hand painted by me. So, this machine kills fascists is originally a slogan that existed on Woody Guthrie's guitar, and it is not physically, it is not actually talking about the act of killing someone. It's obviously a metaphor, because what music does is it brings people together. It fights against what fascism seeks to do, which is to separate people, to divide them, and ultimately to oppress them. And music resists that kind of thing um, just by its very creation, folk music especially. And in that way, this machine kills fascists. Here on the side, I've got a little crawl that, I don't know, I guess I wrote it on here to remind myself. It's the chorus from USA for Africa, We Are the World. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. It's the first two lines from the chorus of We Are the World. Right here, we've got the squatters' rights symbol, which I first became familiar with when I started rubber tramping in 2021. I was living in my van, busking for a living, traveling all over the country, functionally homeless, but some aspects of it were cool at times. Other times it was horrible, not even gonna lie. I first became familiar with this particular symbol at that time, and it is a symbol of solidarity with squatters and people attempting to do direct action in furtherance of land reform. Other than that, we've got a article which is uh, and I've got that is honoring, and then I've got Triforce from the Legend of Zelda, like fucking video games. I'm not afraid of it. Cool fucking series. Then there's a dick. There's a tiny little penis on the guitar. Tiny little penis. Tiny little penis with heart wings. Yeah, no, you're right, Random Boomerang. You got that. You got it fucking dead on. So no worries. I sound terrible. That's probably because I've been talking all day. Wee. No, I'm not a male. I mean, I'm like, dude, this is what is so fucking weird about this issue, right? You can tell I'm a trans woman, but you are obsessed with knowing whether or not I have a penis. You are obsessed with knowing for 100% sure if there's a fucking dick swinging between my legs. But you don't worry about the vagina of every woman that walks past you in public. Even if there is a chance that she's trans, you don't allow yourself to think about that sort of thing. But for some reason, a trans woman online elicits your your attention in this way. And I feel like it's the same sort of motivation that underlies why people want to have these bathroom bills and shit. It is an obsession with other people's fucking genitalia. I think it's sex repression, bro. I think you guys are fucking repressed. All these weird fucking hang-ups, man. You would be so much happier if you get rid of some of these fucking hang-ups. One second. I will be right back. Hold on. Okay, y'all. I just remembered a song. I used to know. Has anyone in here ever heard of the Front Bottoms? Does that name mean anything in here to you guys? Get the fuck out of here. I'm sick of fucking listening to you argue with people in my chat, bro. I'm sick of fucking listening to you argue with people in my chat, bro. Phoebe got that gangster side in here. Well, you have to remember that the like cocksure nature of gang culture, as it's perceived, shares a common ancestry with the cocksure nature of, well, Southern shit kickers. So really, it's not gangster you're identifying, but Mississippi shit kicker. Bro, I'm sitting here chain smoking. I need to put this shit away. Dude, I know I can take prestigious rips, but I'm frying my lungs up like a fucking egg sandwich right now. I need to quit it. Anyway, I'm going to play this song for you guys. You know what I think's really sad? I know I'm really sad you are. I'm probably gonna leave real soon. Just wanted to let you know before I say au revoir. Au revoir. You probably don't even know what that means. Au revoir. Au revoir. You think you probably don't even know what that means. She says that it's French. I know what it means. You don't have to before you walk away. I just wanted you to hear me say adios, adios. You probably think I don't know what that means. Adios, adios. You probably think I don't know what that means. Rock and roll, rock and roll. You probably don't even know what that means. Rock and roll, rock and roll. You probably don't even know what that means. Au revoir, au revoir. You probably don't even know what that means. Au revoir, au revoir. You probably think I don't know what that means. She says that it's French, you know what it means. Just thought I would let you know before I say au revoir. Bro, I live out in the country. I can be loud as I motherfucker want to be, bitch. Get wrecked. Get all the way wrecked. Get fucked. Dude, I know it's gotta suck, dude, because you probably live in a fucking shitty little shitbox apartment somewhere in the city, and you gotta deal with, like, the neighbors, you know? So you can't be blasting loud music like I can be, you know? 2:30 at night, if I wanted to have a speaker in here going full fucking blast, I'd have to shut the windows, but I could do it. And people think guitar and fucking voice carries way farther than it actually does. There's a reason why acoustic acts still mic up at shows. There's a reason why the big fucking speaker stacks are there. It's because this shit doesn't carry nearly as far as you think it does. Now, the only people on this property that are sleeping right now are deep within their own bedrooms in a completely separate structure over 20 yards away. And, you know, this is a fully insulated building. So I really don't think I'm in any danger of upsetting anyone. But thanks for your concern. You belong in the city. I was raised my entire life in the country. I have attempted living in cities in various forms, and I am not interested. May I have mod? As a customary rule, I don't usually just like dole out mod to people who ask for it, but if I see you in multiple streams, I'll consider it. Age? I'll be 27 in just a couple months. 26 right now. I love the country. People aren't meant to live in cities. No, I mean, people aren't meant to live anywhere as far as like there's no Rosetta Stone written somewhere that says we have to live a certain way. But when it comes to evolutionarily, no, human beings did not adapt to live in cities. We adapted to hunt, gather, and live nomadically. Now, there are reasons why that doesn't work anymore, but a lot of them just have to do with the propping up of cities. And I'm a big fucking proponent of micro cities. Like, I think agglomerations of people have always happened. There have always been fertile areas, there's a reason why there were cradles of civilization like Mesopotamia that attracted mass settlement. But if you look at Mesopotamia, the core area of Mesopotamia was surrounded by nomadic tribes, right? Nomadic peoples that were pastoralists. Whereas the people in the developing cities in the heart of Mesopotamia, at first, they didn't encroach much on one another, but as the cities grew larger, their farms had to get bigger, they had to push out the nomads, and that is one of the consequences of developing this city-based way of life. And it's something that's been following us around to every civilization we've ever had for the last, I don't know, 12,000 years since the agricultural revolution. So this is a problem that human beings need to learn how to deal with and figure out, but it's something that's been plaguing us ever since we first started agglomerating into cities in the Fertile Crescent. What song did you just play, by the way? That was called Au Revoir by the Front Bottoms. Stream Fortnite or some shit. I don't have nearly enough patience to learn Fortnite and then to stream it. I will tell you though, when I get my computer upgraded and shit, I do want to start words. I want to start streaming War Thunder. That's the game I was trying to think of. Our leaders pit us against one another. I hope our countries get their shit together soon. Let me see here. What are you talking about? What's going on? Russia, China, and President Trump will twist LGBT ideology. I mean, it's all like, that's the thing about like being a human being in these days that is marginalized in any way. Like if you are part of any kind of community that is prone to political targeting, now is just not a great time to be alive in a lot of ways, because there's just intense pressure on people in that position to be a specific way and to mind their P's and Q's and shit. And it is exhausting trying to navigate the world as it simultaneously becomes more and less progressive at the same time, you know? Like, I genuinely believe the centrist is a dying breed, and as much as I used to hate them, now I'm kind of longing for them. Because I feel like now things are just trending so far to the right. I'm drawn to the redneck and you can relate. Yeah, there you go. See? I mean, it's not hard to see, you know? Like, if you watch enough of my streams, you see me doing dumbass redneck shit every so often. Like, fucking killing mice in a green bin with a fucking fence post or whatever. Like, you know, it had to be done, and I didn't really think about the camera angle, but, you know, I didn't show any fucking deaths going down on camera, so. But, like, dude, that is one of the sad realities about living off of food that you produce by growing it on your own land. You have to accept the reality that you have to, like, especially like if you're in the position that we are, where my parents got back together after 10 years, I'm set to eventually inherit the farm and everything, but in that 10 years it got overgrown a shit ton. We've cut a lot back, but we still have, like, I would say a good 60% to go. And in that 60%, rats and fucking snakes and all kinds of crazy shit are able to just make their fucking way freely. And for a while there was an active infestation in the barn. And one day I walked into the barn and there was fucking, as I started getting, I was actually, like I said, I was streaming, and I started getting things ready, and I opened this one feed bin, and like, I guess the lid hadn't been fastened down firmly enough, and they managed to crawl in there. Or no, it wasn't that it was fastened down hard enough. They literally chewed through it. But once they got in there, they couldn't figure out how to get back out, basically, or didn't put a lot of urgency into getting back out. And so I was like, well, this feed is now spoiled anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and evict these rats. But there was like fucking 15 of them, and I had to kill them one by one with a fence post, and it was gruesome. And then I realized that the camera caught it all, and I was like, oh, that's lovely. You see me flying when a snake pops up, I'd be hovering away, dude. I am fucking terrified of snakes as well. I've gotten better, though. I did see a harmless little rat snake near the barn a couple weeks back, and I actually reacted perfectly good to it. I didn't freak out. I didn't make a bunch of sudden moves. I didn't, I noticed it, realized what it was, and started stepping back, and then went went to well away of its I went well away of its position, and got my phone out and started Googling to figure out what kind of snake it was, and then I figured out it's non-venomous and that it specifically targets rodents. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Snakes are either cute danger noodles or nightmare fuel, in my opinion. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there's pretty much no in between. Because once a snake gets to a certain length, you realize, like, even if that motherfucker can't constrict me to death or something like that, that motherfucker probably deliver an incredibly painful bite, and maybe it has venom. Most people don't know how to identify that shit. I don't. So I just assume every snake I see is venomous until proven otherwise. And I don't have a policy of killing snakes on sight, but I do have a policy of getting the fuck away from them on sight. What part of the U.S. are you at? I'm from the Deep South, and I'm in the Deep South. Puncture wounds aren't fun. No. At the best of times, right? Puncture wounds a bad deal no matter what day it is. Venom or no venom. I cannot rap and play at the same time. I wish I had a loop pedal so bad. See, yeah, I can't do it. Because I feel like when you're rapping, you're using your voice as an instrument of meter, whereas usually your voice is an instrument of melody. Is that the difference? Can someone that actually knows music theory help me understand the difference? Why can I play and sing, but I can't fucking play and rap? The song I was just playing, by the way, is Kiss the Sky by Machine Gun Kelly. And I know the song. I know the song on guitar, and I know the words. And I'm good at rapping it. But I can't do it at the same time. Why? Why is that? What the fuck is the deal with that? Why? I have to assume that it's because when you're rapping, you're using your voice as an instrument of rhythm and tempo, and when you're singing, you're using it more as an instrument of pitch and harmony and melody. Okay, well, help me figure this out, right? I can play and sing, you know, like new slang when you notice the stripes, the dirt in your fries. Hope it's right when you die. Old and bony. You know, I can do that. But if I try to play the song I was just playing and rap it at the same time, the MGK song, I'll try it and you'll see how it fucking falls apart. See, I've been searching for something. Tell me, when is it coming? Tell me what to tell myself when I drink so much that I hurt myself. Cause I stay up way too late. See, I'm fucking it up. I'm fucking up the fucking. It's like, and in my mind, it feels like it's because so much of my brain's sense of tempo is being taken up by getting the meter right, you know? Or maybe I said that wrong, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. The part of my brain that's concerned with rhythm and meter is worried about getting that fucking. Because, like, with a lot of songs, you can kind of fucking play around with where the emphasis is put, where you stretch out the note and how. Like, there's a lot of fucking leeway room there. With rap, man, you gotta hit those beats fucking like a metronome. Playing and singing is paced from chord to vocals. It's harder to keep rhythm when rapping and playing. Yeah, that's the impression that I get. But singing and playing chords is easy to pace when the song is at this chord, start singing this line, whereas rapping is more of a continuous stream of speech and playing. Right, exactly. And not every word and natural breakpoint corresponds neatly to the music. It's more about, see, once again, my brain wants to correlate it between melody versus tempo, because if you think about it, in rap, the main thing is not to not to match the melody or the chord structure or whatever, to match the tempos, to match the beat. Whereas when you're singing, I mean, the notes that you're singing are entirely dependent on the notes of the song that you're listening to. People feel empowered in that transition. I would like, that's what I would assume. I do, you know, somewhat, at least, I guess. I feel empowered to, like, own my own life and own who I am, at the very least. But little do they know, they already have the power. I don't know if you meant that in a wholesome way, but I just took that in a very wholesome way. Like, listen, it's fine to transition. That's good. But you didn't need to do that to be, like, a valid person who is worthy of understanding and love, you know? Do you make music? Yeah, not as much as I used to, but yeah, I actually have this really, really hilarious song. I have a really hilarious song. I'll see if I can remember the words to it. There's a war on in the Middle East. Millions pleading for mercy. Seems like Israel just can't seem to make peace. So we tore down and scrapped Cheyenne, built a town called New Jerusalem, and they don't need no M1 tanks, 'cause the U.S. military's got them safe. There's no Hamas, no atom bombs, just the smell of pie and soccer moms. You can say it was wrong, but we stay knowing that all the Jews are happy roaming in what used to be Wyoming. Get it? It's a country song about relocating Israel to Wyoming to solve the Middle East problems, you know? To solve like the genocide that is just like, you know, like a constant rotating thing over there, you know? All the like threats of war and shit. Let's just like move the 7 people that live in Wyoming out of there, you know? And there we go. You can say it was wrong, but we stay knowing that all the Jews are happy roaming in what used to be Wyoming. It kind of contradicts like when studs like women but use toys that replicate what? What are you talking about? What's going on? You guys are approaching the end of the time when I usually do these anyway, and I'm about to feel like maybe that's the best thing I can do is just to walk away. But yeah, I hope that answers your question, BBK, earlier. Yes, I do make music. Not everything I make is super serious, though. I allow myself to write some pretty goofy shit sometimes. Tomfoolery goes hard sometimes. Exactly. I fuck with you, BBK. Hell yeah. That's awesome. Nice. What? What, Tyler? I don't know that I follow. I don't know that I follow. That's awesome. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you. Like I said, it's a little comical, but you know, it's an original creation. I will say I used AI to help me develop the song a little bit, but the lyrics are entirely my creation. And there's another verse to it and another chorus, but I just gave you guys the first little sample because I'm having trouble remembering how the second verse starts. I can remember most of it, but I cannot remember the fucking first line. So, but I did use Suno to help me make a good tune for it, and then I adapted the chords that I use off of that. So you should totally upload your song. Maybe someday. There's all kinds of covers I want to do. Honestly, you know, one of my family members has been talking about getting a USB interface that has phantom power, and I'm thinking if they get the condenser mic that we've got lying around the house to work on their computer, and it sounds nice, I think I might start uploading some covers maybe, but we'll see. I've got some that I think are really fucking good, like that old Pencil Tucky cover I think is pretty good. I think I've got a pretty good cover of America by Simon and Garfunkel. Pretty good cover of The Boxer by Simon and Garfunkel, I would say. I used to have some great Shins covers, but I'm not really good at those anymore. Born to multiply. What am I getting wrong? Born to multiply. Yeah, see, I'm fucked. I'm fucking getting it bad now. Born to multiply, born to gaze into night skies. All you want's one more Saturday. Well, look here, until then, they're gonna buy your lifetime. So keep your wick in the air and your feet in the fetters till the day they come in doing cartwheels. They'll go out by yourselves, and your feet and your shape on the dance floor have me thinking such filthy gouged eyes. You'll be damned to be one of us, girl, facing the dodo's conundrum. I felt like I could just fly, but nothing happened every time I tried. Ooh, to turn on the wall. Selfless fool, thought he'd save our soul. Never dreamt of such sterile hands. You keep them folded in your lap, raise them up to beg for scraps. You know he's holding you down by the tips of his fingers, all the same. I can't remember the next words. The next slurs. Sing the camp song from Scary Movie 4. I don't know that song, sadly. Remember the old days when we had to Google things? I do. I'm generally against using AI for the creation of art, but so long as you use it as a tool in the creative process and not the whole process, I feel like that's valid. Yeah, I mean, I'm more friendly to AI art than you probably are, but that's okay. We can have different opinions on the matter. I think it's an inevitability more than it is anything. I think the real question is, how are we going to regulate it? I think if we're going to regulate it in any direction, it needs to be in that direction. But I'm not opposed to the idea of making, like, here's the thing: you really can't make an entire vision just with AI. You have to provide some input in the form of creative energy expressed through prompts, right? So even with Suno, it took me like 7 or 8 prompts to get to a chord structure that I thought worked and a song that sounded good with the lyrics that I wrote, and it took me prompting with different styles and invocations in there and everything. And I finally got to something that worked, right? But it took a while. And I think when it comes to these massive AI projects that we're about to see, I think, well, number one, I think we're going to see a lot of AI as a part of the creative process think about this. What if it is through prompting, but instead of corporations just hiring like 10 people to make movies and just pump them out? What if it's like they keep all of their same fucking teams and everything? They basically keep how they do things, but rather than having everybody use, like, let's say you're in an animation studio like Pixar or something, rather than having everybody have these like specific tools and everything that are meant to make the job easier, but ultimately are time consuming to use, and you've got this long drawn out process for making animation, right? What if that could be done by AI, by an AI framework that is built to work within the constraints of their physical model limits and things like that? They can be tweaked super specifically just by prompting, and you give that massive superpower to every person on these individual creative teams, right? So they can still, and here's the better thing too, we're talking about AIs as they're going to be used by these big corporations that employ most of the working artists in the world, when we're talking about those folks, we're talking about an AI that's going to be able to spit you out a model that you can then fuck with in the software and make it look absolutely perfect. So we're talking about taking people who are super passionate about their art and giving them a route to where they can see things done that would have taken them way longer than they had to work on the project, you know? I just think about the beautiful movies that we could see on the back of this kind of concentration in technology. As a filmmaker, AI horrifies me beyond belief. See, I don't see what I'm postulating is a world where fundamentally filmmaking doesn't change all that much, right? Like I'm actually like I have had an idea in my head for a screenplay for years, and I really want to sit down and write it. And I genuinely think that AI could be my chance at getting that scene to fruition, you know? But I'm interested to hear why you say it's so terrifying, because to me, it I don't think that they're going to replace the entirety of the working artists working at these corporations. I think it's going to be looped in as a tool that enables them to save time. Like I do think that they're probably going to be taking a cut in terms of hours, maybe. But from what I understand, a lot of these creative jobs, especially when it comes to the video game world, but I think this is true of a lot of animation studios and things like this as well. A lot of the time when things get to a certain stage in production, it comes crunch time, and you've just got to get shit done super fucking fast and just spit shit out lickety quick. And technology like this, in my opinion, could enable these corporations to prevent that from being an issue by streamlining so much of the development process, where they can actually make sure that people are taking sufficient breaks, and um, they don't have to make people like work 16-hour shifts in the last 6 weeks of the production or whatever. I love the idea of the creative outlet that AI could provide, but the way it's actually used currently is very upsetting, and I don't trust corporations to use it for good. Girl, I'd gladly work with you for free to bring your screenplay to life, however difficult it is. Yeah, I really don't think it's a difficult screenplay either. That's the sad thing about it, is I think, like, I can give you like a brief synopsis of it. It's post-apocalyptic fiction, but it postulates a post-apocalypse that's way, way, way closer than people think. It's not like set 1,000 years in the future or something where there's all this like alien tech lying around. There's no aliens in it. There's no invocation of aliens in it. It's just a person exploring a world that has started to, like, nature has started to take back over after most fucking, like, not most, but a good 75% of human beings just wiped each other out after, like, well, okay, I don't want to say too much more because I've always been told that if you've got a good idea, don't talk about it too openly. But basically, I've got like a whole fucking there's like a whole message to it and all this shit, right? I've thought about it so fucking long, and I don't think it would be that hard to see through, because nothing that's invoked in there would be like crazy heavy set work. A lot of it would just be finding old fucking dumps and old farms and shit, abandoned buildings, abandoned roadways, things like that. A Southern revival? What do you mean? Maybe I would agree, but I'm just not sure what you mean. In my experience, the best part of the process is sitting down and talking with other artists and fleshing out a given idea, and absolutely, don't share the full idea if you think it's worth exploring. Yeah, I don't want to share the whole thing. I think I've given you enough of a synopsis to know, and to probably agree with me, that it wouldn't be that hard to bring something like that to life. Because, we're not talking about any crazy fucking shots or anything like that. I mean, honestly, I do have a couple of shots in mind that might be a little crazy, but hey, once again, I can't talk about it too openly. But yeah, I still think that that could exist in a world where these corporations adopt this as a tool for their workforce. And yeah, I don't trust corporations to use it for good. But the thing you have to keep in mind, and you might know this if you're a working artist, like you said, you're a filmmaker. So from what I understand, SAG-AFTRA has a pretty strong, like, they have like a pretty strong presence in a lot of these corporations that are doing this sort of creative work, and that gives them bargaining ability, and they can put pressure on these companies to ensure that they are used in a good way. And if they set a good example through that, and demonstrate that that is the proper way to use the technology, that that's how you make their movies, then there aren't going to be any studios that are making blockbuster movies with a team of like 10 people that are just prompting away all day. I think that people trying to make a quick buck off of it will probably be able to in some form or fashion, because quick bucks are for some reason just lying all over the place in this culture now. They're just not always easy to sniff out, but I don't really think that we're going to see any blockbuster hits that are just made by like a crack team of 10 people for a while. I think that it's first going to be seen in the form of some kind of advanced tool that allows these like different like game developers that work on character models and level models and things like that, and physics models, all this different shit, and graphics designers who work on animated productions in film and television, things like that, CGI work. I think there's going to be some kind of tool that is designed to work fluidly with the dominant design tools, but is ultimately a prompting tool that allows you to get really close to what ultimately it's going to look like by having these conversations you're talking about, these conversations with these artists. You've got the same conceptual meetings happening, but then instead of, a final conceptual meeting where everybody goes in to make their final drafts of the designs that they've come up with, you can go through like as a team and figure out what everybody likes best for the different designs. I don't know. I'm not in that industry, so I don't really know. I'm not trying to speak for you guys or anything like that. I'm just saying that as a person who has a keen interest in film as a hobby, I relish the idea of this technology becoming big enough to where someone can make something like the movie they want to see with extensive prompting. For example, Star Wars can be summed up as a boy faces an evil only to find that the evil was created by his father. Would you mind giving a 2 to 3 sentence pitch for your idea? I probably could, but it's going to take me a minute to think of a way to put it, a way to condense it. A woman in her mid-30s seeks comfort by seeking out her hometown in a post-apocalyptic United States, only to find that there is no comfort to be found there. Or something like that. Maybe that's not even the best way to put it. For real though, reach out. I'd love to work with you. Well, hey, hit me up sometime on Discord or something. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and go, though, because it is super late here, and I'm rather tired. And I'm sure you guys are pretty tired, too. But I do appreciate you talking with me, and it's been really fun. So, thank you guys for chilling. Y'all have a great night. And, yeah, we will definitely connect.